Hello everyone, welcome to Gardening Mindfully. I'm Zenith and I am so thankful that you have joined me in this video today. I hope you're having a really awesome day. It is the end of November, but it's not too late for us in Zone 8A to plant vegetables. So far I have planted broccoli, 3 different varieties of kale, and today I am finishing up planting onions. In the past, I have planted onions from what we call onion sets, which are the small onion bulb. But this year, I decided to get onions in the green from Haas Tools. Let me show you what they look like. So here's the box that it came in from Haas Tools. It's very nicely packaged. And what I got is a bundle of 50, and so far I have planted out 25, and I'll show you where I have planted those, but let me go ahead and show you how nice these are. So this is a half of the bundle. We have about 25 here. As I said, I planted out 25 already. But let me show you the size of some of these. Look at the size of that bulb already. So basically, when we purchase onions in the green, it has already started the process. So whereas when we purchase the onion sets, all you're getting is that small bulb right there. You're not getting it with the green. So this is onions in the green. Here's another large bulb. So I must say, Haas provided us some really nice onion seedlings to get started. We have a couple of small ones, but the majority, as you can see, are pretty large. So majority of them, look at the size. Awesome. So as you can see, the box is well ventilated. So you can see in the box, see those slats? Those are for ventilation. And it was nicely packaged. It was secure. There was nothing moving or rattling around. It did have the paper packaging on both sides, so it's pretty snug. And also they had something on top as well to protect it. And then this box came into a plastic sleeve. So I'm really pleased with the packaging and also the size of the bulbs. So they have done a lot of work for us already. So let me go ahead and tell you about the variety of onions that we purchased. The variety that we purchased is called Vidora. And Vidora is very similar to Vidalia. So we all know of the Vidalia onion. And it's a sweet, mild onion. The bulb is supposed to be really large, so I'm looking forward to that. Now on the back of this tag, it gives us some planting instructions. And it says when to plant in the fall. Planting depth is 1/4 of an inch. Spacing should be 4 inches apart. And row spacing should be 12 to 18 inches. Days to maturity, 180 days. So now we are planting these onions the end of November, which means the first week in June, they should be mature and ready. When planting onions and garlic for that matter, it's important to choose a location or a container that you can sacrifice for 180 days. So these aren't containers that I'm going to need in the spring to plant any of my spring vegetables. I know it's okay to plant my onions here because I won't need these containers, until maybe in the fall. So I'm okay with using these containers in planting my onions. So if you are looking to use containers in the spring, but you so happen to be growing onions, that's not the location for your onions. It's important to have space dedicated for your onions because they'll take a long time. So make sure when you're planting onions that you choose a location that you're okay with having the onions in for 180 days. If you need containers for your spring planting, do not choose those containers to plant your onions or your garlic. They also said that the Vidora is resistant to pink root rot and also to bolting. Bolting is when the onion prematurely flowers. And when the onion bolts, it takes all of the energy from the bulb. So instead of the energy going into making the bulb larger, it goes into flowering. So this is really nice to know that we have a variety that will not bolt prematurely, and all of the energy will go into making the bulb larger. I am certainly looking forward to these. Now, we planted quite a few already in containers, and I'll show you really quickly what we have done and where they are. The bundle we received from Haas actually had more than 50 transplants. So each of our 4 containers has about 8 transplants each. You will notice that they're not perfectly spaced. However, they are at least 4 inches apart. Before planting your onions, be sure that your soil has a lot of compost or organic matter and that your container has multiple drainage holes. Onion needs a lot of sun in order to grow and to thrive, so each of my containers are placed in a sunny location. In addition to lots of sun, onion needs a constant supply of water. But remember, the soil should be moist and not soggy. Here I added a thin layer of hay as mulch to help to retain moisture in the soil. When it comes to fertilizing, onions are heavy feeders, so it's important to have a fertilizing schedule. I added bone meal to each of my planting holes and will side dress with a balanced fertilizer every 2 to 3 weeks. Here are 2 of the containers that I'm using to grow my Vidora onions. So as you can see, you don't really need a lot of space to grow onions. Remember, the instructions said 4 inches apart. They'll be large bulbs, but just 4 inches apart is really not a lot of space. So anyone can grow onions. We planted the onions 1/4 of an inch deep in the soil, 4 inches apart, and then we added hay for moisture retention. So again, if you are going to need these containers for planting in the spring, you should not be planting onions in them. So I'm okay with my onions being in these 4 containers because that's what I'm dedicating my onions to. So again, full sun, come up with a watering schedule and also a good fertilizing schedule. Make sure to top it off with hay or something to help to retain moisture, and you should be good to go. These are short day onions. Short day onions is what we grow in the South. So this is a variety of a short day onion that is suitable for us in the South. I created a small in-ground garden bed, and this garden bed I created specifically for my garlic. But my garlic is not here just yet, and I have a few extra onions, and so I'm going to use maybe 1 row in this small garden bed to plant out some of the onions just to show you the method that I use to plant them. First of all, the instructions said we plant them 1/4 of an inch deep, space them 4 inches wide, and I decided to add in my planting hole some bone meal. Here you'll notice I do have my bone meal. I'm mixing my bone meal around in my soil so my roots aren't sitting directly on top of the bone meal. Okay, then I will about 1/4 of an inch deep. There we go. And I'll do the same thing to the rest of them. And these have some really nice roots. Look at the roots on these. And the size of the bulb, this is looking really, really nice. So they gave us some really nice, healthy starts here. I used the same process when I planted the onions in these containers. The only difference is I planted some in containers and I'm planting some in an in-ground garden bed. After planting the bulbs, I watered them in really well to hydrate the roots, and then I also added a thin layer of hay as mulch to help to suppress weeds and also to help to retain moisture in the soil. By planting onions just in one row in the middle, I left enough space to plant garlic. So I'll be able to plant one row of garlic behind this row of onions and another row of garlic in the front. And then I do have containers in which I will be growing my garlic as well. Thank you so very much for joining us. I really do appreciate the support. If this is your first time here, welcome. And don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe to Gardening Mindfully. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video.